Okay, assalamu alaikum and good evening, everybody. Can you hear me very well?
Yes, Dr. Kamal.
Great, thank you very much. As you can see, today's workshop is going to be about incorporating sources and avoiding plagiarism. The workshop is going to be presented by Dr. Zainab Muhammad Taher. I'm sure that most of you know Dr. Zainab. She is a writing specialist and instructor at the English Language Institute at King Abdulaziz University. Dr. Zainab is an ELT specialist teaching at different levels in varied contexts. Her interests include language to acquisition, training, syllabus design, material design, academic reading, and academic writing for language to writers. She joined the Delphi program as a senior coordinator in 2010 at Tahfad University in Sudan, of course, in collaboration with Westminster University in designing English for the workplace work or coursework, and it was published at that time. In 2014, Dr. Zainab was a member in TESOL program at the English Language Institute, and later she worked as an academic advisor. She was delivering a number of academic writing workshops for 3 years, respectively. I mean, in 2015, 2016, and 2017. In the CLTD for the Joint Supervision Program at King Abdulaziz University. In 2017 and 2018, she delivered a series of academic skills and academic writing workshops for science and in dentistry departments at King Abdulaziz University. According to her workshops at the Academic Writing Center, she presented about clarity, flow, and coherence in writing, paraphrasing to avoid plagiarism, avoiding plagiarism for bachelor students, and today's workshop is going to be about incorporating sources and avoiding plagiarism. I hope that you enjoy and participate and interact and enrich the workshop. Thank you again. The floor is yours, Dr. Zainab.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kamal, for this introduction.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, dear audience, and thank you for being here and being interested in our series of workshop in the Academic Writing Center. As Dr. Kamal mentioned, today's workshop is about incorporating source and avoiding plagiarism. The aim of today's workshop, dear students and dear audience, is to be aware of plagiarism and applying some effective techniques. Most importantly, this workshop will highlight some crucial aspects in incorporating source. And thinking of incorporating source, that means we will think about writing a research paper or writing any assignment or any essay for you or for our students in the ELI. So thinking about writing a research paper or any other academic assignment, you should think about what, how, and when. You should ask yourself, what type of skills or research skills do we need? So no matter how or what type of research you are conducting, you need to know which source to include, which type of information you need to support your writing. Whether you are writing argumentative paper or argumentative essay or writing a descriptive essay, you need to support your writing. How do we support our writing? We need to consult previous papers, articles, we need to consult books, we need to consult some published articles. So we need to mention some ideas from previous writing in the same area that we are writing about. Mentioning consulting papers or books or previous work in the same area, that means we have to cite, we have to say who has written this specific information. That means we have to acknowledge the source that we incorporate and that we use in our writing. Now let's look at mentioning or acknowledging the source. Let's look at the outlines. Acknowledging the source, we should think about how regulations, conventions, rules, any restrictions for incorporating source and consulting these previous work in the same area. In today's workshop, the outline, why do you incorporate source? We should answer this question. How do we incorporate sources? Citation and source incorporation. We will also look at some effective academic reading techniques and in relation to source incorporation. And of course, technology is a trending issue. We should look at technology and plagiarism and technology and citation. So because as I said, we are in the era of innovation, and technology is a basic part of our daily life as research community, as teachers, as students, writing, reading, whatever. So technology is there. So we cannot ignore the role of technology in our academic field. Let's look at this outline one by one. Why do you incorporate source? First of all, what do you mean by incorporating source? What do you mean by incorporating source? Can I have some ideas? Can I have some ideas? Thinking about writing your paper, thinking about writing an assignment, thinking about writing to use it effectively. Thank you so much, Dr. Rasha. Yes. Yes. Any other idea? Yes. I mean, we're thinking about incorporating source. What do we mean by to incorporate a source? What do we mean by to incorporate a source? I mean, let's say paraphrase the word incorporate. Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So it's just simply to integrate the source, to integrate the information taken from this specific source into your writing. It's just as simple as that. It's just taking the information, integrating the information from the source you consulted. Yes, citing. Thank you so much. Yes, exactly. Thank you so much. Yes, acknowledging the author. So for the question, why do you incorporate sources? There are two main reasons for incorporating sources. The first one I consider responsibility, and the second one avoiding plagiarism. So what do we mean by responsibility, and what do we mean by avoiding plagiarism? Why do we incorporate source? For these two specific reasons. Let's look at responsibility. So what is responsibility in academic writing? Any idea? What is responsibility in academic writing? What do you mean to be responsible for your writing when incorporating a source? Yes. Thank you so much, Sra. Thank you. So it is the writer's responsibility to provide evidence to support a claim. It is the writer's responsibility to present this claim clearly or this argument clearly and coherently to be part of your text. It is the writer's responsibility to demonstrate an understanding of any source of, yes, to defend your ideas. Exactly. It is your responsibility to credit the source and to acknowledge the source. Thank you so much. Thank you for these ideas. Exactly. So this is the meaning of responsibility. And this is why I included this term responsibility, because it is one of the features of academic writing. And we need to be responsible for these reasons you have mentioned and I have included in my presentation. The second part is plagiarism. Having mentioned credit and acknowledgement, so we are mentioning this to avoid plagiarism. So what is plagiarism and why do students plagiarize? What are the forms of plagiarism and how should we avoid plagiarism? So what is plagiarism? From your understanding, from your practice, from your writing, from your reading, what do you think of plagiarism? What is it? Hmm? Yes? Thank you so much, doctor. Yes, it's just really at that. So right, yes, thank you so much. In a paper written in Pan-Pacific Association of Applied Linguistics, this paper, the title of this paper is Students' Behaviors and Views of Paraphrasing and Inappropriate Textual Borrowing in an EFL academic setting. I was interested in this paper because of this title, Textual Borrowing and in relation to this academic setting. So they mention a definition of plagiarism as very simple definition is that the students may include some information in their paper or they are stealing others' work and taking them at this its own, copying. Yes, thank you so much. Yes, copying the whole or a portion of the source and paraphrasing material from a source without appropriate documentation. So this documentation is without acknowledging the source. Okay, so why do you think the students or even some researchers commit this mistake? Why do they plagiarize? In the same paper, in the Pan-Pacific Association of Applied Linguistics, they have mentioned some reasons for the students to plagiarize. These reasons are inability to properly cite the source, poor reading comprehension skills, lack of critical analytical thinking, limited subject area knowledge, which affects our selection. It's not always that being dishonest, like what our students do. It's sometimes lack of confidence, for example. Sometimes because of the text itself, because the text itself is beyond the level of comprehension of this specific student. And sometimes, yes, unable to write. I agree. Yes. And sometimes it could be lack of summarizing, paraphrasing skills. So, for different reasons, students may plagiarize. And sometimes, and I have mentioned this previously in one of the previous workshops, that time matters. Maybe for inexperienced writers or inexperienced students, and because there is ignorance of consulting um, the sources, they just, and because of the time limit, they just copy and paste and then they submit. Yes, could be they submit their assignment. So these are some reasons for committing this, let's say, practice, malpractice. I would not say a theft in our context, because most of our students by now, they to some extent, they are aware that if you are taking this information deliberately from this specific source, then you are committing a crime. But let's say because of the reasons we have mentioned, they commit these mistakes. So there are some forms of plagiarism. So what are the forms of plagiarism? Yes, sometimes. Yes. Thank you so much. So you can plagiarize ideas. You can plagiarize a text or part of a text. And sometimes writing or using inappropriate paraphrasing, you disregard the authorship of a borrowed text. That you do not, you paraphrase and you follow all the steps of paraphrasing, but you do not cite. So it could be and there are some specific terms we use for just using, also this is another way, using only synonyms or switching some structures, and that's it. So this is a very good example of what is so-called batch writing. So talking about avoiding plagiarism, we'll move onto citation and source incorporation. So when we avoid plagiarism, if we are in the right track, then we would say we have to cite. We have to acknowledge the source. We have to mention who has done this part. Citing a source, we would look at why do we cite a source? Reasons for citing a source. We would look at what do we cite? How do we cite? And then we would look at common knowledge. What do we mean by common knowledge? And do we cite common knowledge? And then we would look at type of citation. So when answering the question why citation, we could say the basic reason to cite is to avoid plagiarism. This is number one. Okay? So you should give a proper credit to the original author. You should keep your information accurate and trustworthy. Make it easy for the reader to find the source you mentioned. To demonstrate how you research or how much research you did, that you this way you're showing the strength of your writing, that you're reading. If you read much, then you will have cite a lot. And I think this in science field, they're asking them to cite a lot. If we have some students here from science, they could be aware of that, because they are asking them to cite a lot. So the citing will show that you're researching a lot and you're reading a lot. Then why do we cite? To improve your work by providing outside evidence to support your argument. And in doing so, supporting your argument, you have to raise the voice of other writers and then state your own voice. So your stance will be there by saying whether you agree. For example, if you have an argumentative essay or argumentative writing, you should provide argument, counter argument, and then you should state your position or your stance clearly. So you are bringing sources from outside, and then you are supporting your claim and stating your claim. So what do we cite? If these are the reasons why we cite, so what do we cite? So we mention in our citation, we mention author's name, year of publication, title, place of publication, for example, if we have books, publishers, again, if we have books, and page number, right? Of course, you cite differently if you're having different sources, like online magazines or articles. You cite differently if you have printed books, and you cite differently if you are having, for example, you want to include a video or a diagram. You cite differently according to the information you have. And also mentioning this, you cite differently according to the different styles of citation. Here we have an example of a printed book. So you would see that the book title is very important, the author, publisher, publication date, publisher location. Regardless the type of information you mention, you have to mention date of publication and the author in almost all types of sources you are consulting or you are including in your writing. Okay, so you need to locate the information, you need to identify the information, you need to interpret the information. So this is a kind of interpreting the information. What do we cite? Title, author, and so forth. So doing so, including this information in my writing, I need to consult the style of my writing. Who do I consult? From your department, a department, or from your college. If, for example, you are in science college and someone else from engineering. Sometimes there are some unified styles for the whole university. Sometimes science students use different style than arts students, and so forth. So mentioning styles here, you could use, according to the regulations of your department, you could use APA style, Chicago, MLA, and so forth. So styles are very, very important. So from the very beginning of your reading and consulting these sources, you have to identify, and you have to locate the information, and you have to think about the style, because you need to cite accurately. Not only citing, you need to cite accurately. You need to mention there are different ways of citation for citing in APA style than Chicago, for example. So from the very beginning, you need to be aware of that. So as we say, different citation, different styles should refer back to your department or your college. So talking about citation styles and referencing styles, we should now think about the content. How do we incorporate the source that we consulted? How do we mention this in our writing? How do I include these ideas in my writing? Is it just in the reference list, or there are other methods of citation? So here we have an example of in-text citation. Yes, could be. Yes. Thank you so much. Could you parenthesis? In-text citation. In-text citation is different in APA style, MLA, or Harvard. The second one is footnote or endnote. Whether you are using footnote or endnote, you need to also consult the type of the style you are using in this specific department. We need to be aware of that from the very beginning of our writing process. From the very beginning of selecting sources, we need to be aware of that. And I think some departments, they've got manuals for this. They've got manuals for their styles and the way you are citing the source. And of course, technology will play a very great role in this in-text citation or footnote or whatever kind of citation or method of citation you're using. So you have to by citing a source, you maintain academic standards and academic honesty. So what is text citation? What is footnote? And list of works cited. What are these? What is in-text citation? What is in-text citation? Anyone would like to share?
It's the indication for just like two things. I think in some other in the APA, it's just the
Yes.
year and I think the initial of the first name and the last name.
Yeah.
It just indicates where you just a really short indication of where you got the paper from that people can go to the references
Exactly.
and find more about.
Exactly. From the term itself, in text, that means you are including it in your, yes, in the text. Excellent. Yes. Thank you so much. This is a good explanation. So you just mentioned it in the text, where you can say You mentioned, as you said, you can mention the date and the author. Yes. So in-text citation is just referring to in your text where you would like to support your claim, where you would like to mention this point as an example written by this person. Yes, and depending also on the style, right? Footnote. What do you think of footnote? Okay, I have an example of footnote. Maybe recently researchers or writers are not using this kind of extra information exactly. But how do we mention this extra information? Recently, I guess some disciplines or some yes exactly right. So they are not using it. I used it, for example, in my thesis or my dissertation. But maybe now they are using using in-text citation. I have seen some papers from science department, and they are using in-text citation a lot. And I asked them about it. I asked the students, why are you doing so? They said this is requested from the department that we are using this type of citation. List of works cited. Yes, yes, thank you so much. This is the reference list or bibliography. Reference list or bibliography. You mention the information in as in-text citation, and then you cite the source in the reference list. You include it in the reference list according to the style you are using, or you are following, or they require the style from your department. So these are different methods. Let's look at an example from the footnote. As some of you have mentioned here, um, can you see this number, the green one, number one? Can you see it? This is how we include the citation. Yes, this is how we include the citation when we're talking about footnote. On the bottom of the page, this number will appear with extra information or citing this specific source, saying, mentioning information about the source. So mentioning the title, date, the author, and so forth. Okay? And give more information about this source. So this is what we mean by footnote. And you might know, anyone here familiar with using footnote? By saying footnote, I don't mean end note, the system of citation. I mean the way or the method we are mentioning the information about the author. Anyone familiar with this? Okay. As I said, I used this previously. Here we have some examples of in-text citation. So, yes, please. Any point? Okay. So these are some examples of in-text citation. So in some examples, they have a page number, like the second one. And some examples, they have only the publication date. So here, the second one, publication date and the page number. Okay. Well, it depends. Well, it depends. So these are two examples. Yes, please.
Excuse me, doctor. What style is this?
The first one is APA. The first one.
Okay, and the second one?
And the second one is Harvard.
I see. Okay.
Okay. So these are two different citation, in-text citation examples. Okay, so looking at the last point of in citation, we would look at what is common knowledge. What is common knowledge? Any idea? Yes. What is common knowledge? Okay. Thank you so much. Yes, please. Yes. Yes. As simple as that. Yes. So sometimes I will give a very simple example of that. And if we, for example, if we are talking about facts or historical events or social events, like if we're talking about in our context in Saudi Arabia, if we're talking about Jinadriya, for example, we do not have to. Well, it depends. I will say we do not have to state the date or yes. Thank you so much. Yes, yes, because it's known by everyone, right? Yes. We mention we do not have to state, we do not have to cite because it's common knowledge, because it is yes. Thank you so much. So well, if you are in doubt of, I've given this example, Junadria event, because it's general and common knowledge. But if you are in doubt of very specific academic common knowledge, then you have to, yes, unless you copy it from a source, you're right. But if you are in doubt, you have to consult your professor. If you are in doubt, because maybe some students they are not aware of whether this is a common knowledge or not. So if you are in doubt, you need to cite. Citing will save time and effort. If you are in doubt, ask your professor. Okay. And there is also another point I would like to mention here. For some students, I mentioned previously in one of the previous presentations that we use some generic phrases in stating some common knowledge. And generic phrases in our writing, yes, thank you so much. In our writing, whether we are writing an essay or we are writing an assignment, extended essay or research paper, you could consult Manchester Phrase Bank. Manchester Phrase Bank will help you, and it contains a wide range of generic vocabulary, and you can use them in your writing. So, citing source, citation and source incorporation. How do we do so? How do we cite? We have looked at the methods. Now, we have to have some techniques that we use to cite appropriately. These are the three techniques that we should use in our academic writing. The first technique is paraphrasing. The second one is summarizing. And the third one is quotation. Okay? So in order to incorporate a source, to include the information from a specific source in your own writing, you need to either paraphrase or summarize or quote, depending on your writing, depending on the task. If you are writing an assignment, writing a task in a class for our students at the ELI is different than incorporating a source for a research paper. I mean, the way you are doing your paraphrase. And I'm aware that most of the researchers, most of our students now, they are using the online tools for paraphrasing. And they're using different online tools, actually. And nowadays we have a new technology and a new innovation for incorporating source or adding information using information from ChatGPT, for example. So we do it differently. I would like you to consider these examples and to state whether these examples are summary or paraphrase or a quotation. Which one do you think is a paraphrase? Which one do you think is a quotation? Which one do you think is a summary? And why? So the first one is a paraphrase, quotation, okay? And the second one is, okay. So why do you think the first one is a quotation? And why do you think the last one is a summary? Okay. So the quotation, yes, exactly. So yeah, using these quotation marks. Yes. Thank you so much. The second one is a paraphrase, and the third one is a summary. Why do you think the third one? Yes. Why do you think this one is a summary? Hmm? Yes. Thank you so much. Thinking about the length. Right. Yes, just the main idea. Yes, short. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So we're going to start with the first one, which is paraphrasing. Okay. What is paraphrasing? I don't mean the first one, I mean the examples, but I mean this one. I mean this one. Okay. I don't mean the examples because the first one in the example is a quotation. Okay. So what is paraphrasing? Look at this example, the crown example. What happens here? What is paraphrasing? Yes, 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 using your own words. Good, restating, synonyms. Okay, thank you so much. So, yes, in different words, exactly. So it is clear from this crown image that there is a change. Rephrasing is taking a place. There is a change. Okay, so why do we summarize? Why do we paraphrase? Yes, yes. Thank you so much. Why do we paraphrase? Why do we paraphrase? Two reasons to paraphrase: to demonstrate that you understand the concept and the ideas presented in the text, and incorporate the paraphrased text in your writing to avoid plagiarism. Excellent, excellent. Which is the most important part. Yes, yes. So you incorporate the paraphrase text into your writing. What is missing here? I demonstrate, I read, make notes, change structure, change word, whatever techniques, and I take this information and incorporate. Excellent. Thank you so much. The missing part is to cite. Thank you so much. So the missing part is to cite. Yes, but yes, using different style. So how do we paraphrase? How do we paraphrase? Like the example you have just mentioned, the techniques you have just mentioned, there are some, yes, we use some practical techniques here. Change the structure, use synonyms, reverse the order of information, and change noun to pronoun, and change verb from ing, active to passive, etc., etc., etc. Okay, different techniques for paraphrasing. Most importantly, as we said, we have to cite using the academic convention, using the citation regulation in your department. You consulting your professor for this. So when you start with thinking about paraphrasing, you just go and change the structure, you just go and find synonyms, reverse order. Yes, consult the writing center for help. Thank you so much. But this will be incorporated in your reading. Actually, it's not only just taking this sentence, paraphrasing it, or just using consulting Quillbot, for example, paraphrasing it and then citing it and then incorporating it in your writing. This is not the task. The task is starting with your reading. The task will start when you read, and yes, okay, we will talk about this. We'll talk about this. The task will start with your reading, and then you will go into your writing, your own point. Will go into note taking, and then will go into cross-checking the ideas from the source and your own words, and then you're checking originality, and then you yes, right, and then you include this in your citation, in your writing. So we have examples here. The one example actually for paraphrasing. Who can evaluate this paraphrase? Can I have ideas? I think we are running out of time. So can we have ideas about this paraphrasing point? Who can evaluate this paraphrase? What do you think of this? It's a possible paraphrase. Okay. It is one possible way to paraphrase. But how can you evaluate this paraphrase? Do you think it's an effective paraphrase? Okay. Thank you so much.
Yes, doctor, I think it's good.
Okay. What is missing in this paraphrase? There is no citation, right? Yes. Thank you so much. Yes. No reference. It is a good paraphrase, but we don't have any citation. Moving on to a summary. Yes, can I take these questions to the very end of our presentation? The summary is the second part of our techniques. So what is summary? How do we make summary? And how do we, why do we make a summary? How do we make a good summary or effective one? And what is the length of a summary? Okay, so what is a summary? What is a summary? Is a shortened version, including the main idea of a text, right? Yes, yes, brief idea of a paragraph. Why do you think we summarize? What is the point of summarizing? Yes, right. We restate our argument, right? What else? So if we are taking a summary as a task in a class for our students, it's different than summarizing for incorporating this summary in your writing. So if you're taking the summary as a task or assessment for assignment in the class, so you do not need to add any kind of comments, because you add comments when you include the summary um, uh, in your text for integrating this with the source plus the paraphrasing into your writing. But if you are taking the summary as a task in the class, so you do not need to make comment unless they are asking you to evaluate the summary. Okay, so this is a very important point for summarizing. So for a summary, we need to include the main idea if we are writing a summary for a task in our classes. But if we are writing a summary to include the information in our writing, then it should be summarized differently. Okay, so what is the length of the summary? How do we usually have a summary? Whether it is a summary of an activity in the class or a summary that you're using in your writing. It should be, especially the one we are using in our classes, it should be a third of the text. The one we are using in our regular classes should be the third. But because you are using this summary to integrate, yes, a third, thank you, to integrate the ideas into your writing, then it depends on the type of the paper you're writing. It depends on the length of the source you are consulting. Okay, so it's not the same whether you are taking it as an assignment or an activity in a class. So what are the similarities and differences? Yes, it depends, right? Summaries and paraphrasing. Summary and paraphrasing. They are similar, yet they are different. In a book written in 2007 about thesis and dissertation writing in second language writing, the writer stated that in order to write a good summary, you need to develop good paraphrasing skills. So that means they're working hand in hand. Especially you need paraphrasing into summarizing. When you summarize, you need to paraphrase. Although in summary, yes, we remove some details. In summary, we have to have shorter text, but still we need to paraphrase. Still we need to use our own language. Still we need to cite, of course. Okay, so this is this is how we use summary and paraphrasing in our writing. The last point is about quotation. What is quotation? Why do we quote, and how do we incorporate quotation in our writing. So in answering the question, what is quotation? Quotation is a borrowed text, copying the original text of the writer and incorporating this into your work. So this is what we mean by quotation. So for example, look at this one. This is an example of a quotation. Okay, because it's an example, just an example, they mention this, but usually this information, this is better. 2013, yeah. This will be included in your quotation, and you have to sign off the quotation or the copied information with a quotation mark. And this is the most important part of the summary, the quotation. You have to sign it off. You have to sign it off. And these dots in a quotation representing that, we call it ellipses in the language, representing that I have taken this part from a larger part of a text. Why do we quote? Regardless the reason for quotation, it supports your claim, and it is used, yes, it is used a lot in literature, in literary texts than in science. In science, is probably using a quotation for definition. Quotation, it backs up what you are saying. It gives its strength to your writing. Then you quote when the text requires analysis. You need to analyze. You quote when the author has a strong, memorable language. You want to incorporate this language, and then you either explain or comment or say something about this. You quote when the words in the quote add credibility to your claim. They're very, very crucial for your claim. So they just represent your ideas. So you incorporate the quote in your writing. How do we incorporate a quote? So we choose the quote according to its effectiveness, relevance, and significance in our writing. So you want to incorporate this quote, you have to evaluate the quote, you have to evaluate the relevance and the significance of the quote to your claim, to your writing, going back to writing. How do we quote? We introduce the quote using signaling words. Okay? And then we explain by relating this to your argument, as we mentioned previously. So you need to be aware of this when incorporating quotation in your writing. So from this point, what are the signaling phrases? Here we have some examples of signaling phrases. According to, which represents the neutral point of view. Yes. Okay. Hello, can you hear me? Yes. Okay. So we use phrases like according to, and we use verbs like deny, admit, say, argue, and so forth. We use these verbs according to the style we are using. If we are following MLA, then it's different than following ABA style. Okay, so you need to use signaling phrases to support your idea. You need to show that you are either agreeing with this or disagreeing with this, you need to use the signaling phrases that matches that match the nature of your code or your paraphrase. For example, disagreement. You need to select a phrase that matches this point. So you need to also adopt a certain style to change the verb from past to present and so forth. So these are very brief idea of using signaling phrases, okay? And this is an example of quotation and by using according to. Signing of, signaling of the quotation with quotation mark. And as I mentioned, these dots are representing ellipses, that this part is taken from a larger part. It's worth mentioning here that punctuation, some examples of punctuation is important. To consult for more ideas about punctuation rules, you can consult Longman Academic Writing book, book 4, and it will give you more and more ideas about punctuation rules. I have selected this example because it is widely used in our academic context. For example, if you use that, the first word would be in the lowercase in your quotation. If you're using a comma, then the first word in your quotation would be with uppercase. These are very few examples, but they are very, very important. They are of great significance in our academic writing. Okay? Now, having done with the citation and the quotation, with the methods of citation, paraphrasing, summarizing, and quoting, we would like to shed light. I would like to shed light on effective academic reading techniques, and I think this part is very, very important, because I should mention this part previously at the very beginning, but because I'm highlighting incorporating source, I started with incorporating source and avoiding plagiarism, but I would like to highlight some points here. Very effective academic reading techniques, which are note taking and one sentence summary, for example, for very, very short text, critical questions that you incorporate in your pre-searching for sources, and the use of bibliography cards, whether you are designing these cards yourself or you are consulting the librarian to help you to design a card. Nowadays, because we are using technology, you can design online cards. You can have soft copies of your bibliography cards. Okay, so note-taking system is very, very important in our reading. Is the most important part of our source incorporation is note-taking system. I would like to share very quickly a video very quickly. I'm sorry, Dr. Kamal. I would like to share this video, if you
Feel
allow
free.
me.
Yeah, feel free, please. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. It will just summarize my point about effective reading into effective writing, and it will summarize my note-taking point. And here we go. So, sorry, I'll stop sharing this, and then I'll be sharing this. Yes. Share screen. and no, tab, Chrome tab. Okay, this one. Okay, before I share this, yes. Can you see? Okay.
Hello, this is Ha from Academic Skills. Today I'm going to talk to you about how to turn your reading into writing. At university, academic tasks are set to help you get familiar with and become a member of an academic discipline. This requires good reading and writing skills. Reading is crucial for exploring disciplinary knowledge in breadth and depth, while writing helps shape your understanding and application of this knowledge in formulating your own ideas. Reading and writing often go hand in hand in academic studies and transform into each other when you address assessment tasks. When you start on an assignment, you're likely to already know something about the topic. This knowledge might have come from lectures and tutorials you've attended, readings you've done, notes you've taken in the subject, as well as from the world of work, home, or social life. Use all these pre-assignment knowledge and resources to help you get in the zone when preparing for your assignment. Prior readings and notes make the assignment less daunting and more doable, as you're not starting from scratch. Because of this, it's important to start reading and writing notes from day one of your study. When reading and writing specifically for an assignment, be very clear about what you are required to do and what the task involves. Task analysis makes your reading and writing more purposeful and effective. Focus on your purpose when you select relevant sources, read and take notes on the assignment topic. Try to read and interact with the text on different levels and in different ways to really understand it. You can begin with a quick preview of the title, abstract, introduction, conclusion, and any headings to develop an overview of what the text is about, whether it's relevant to your assignment, and how you will need to read it. Sometimes you may decide that you only need to skim through a text for the main idea or scan it for a particular detail. Other times you may want to read a text more closely and connect it to your own experience, as well as summarizing and critiquing it. This all depends on your reading purpose. It's important that you take notes while reading. Doing this will reduce the need to go over the same text again, save you time, and give you input for your writing. Notes should be taken in your own words instead of being copied from the source. If you use your own words to summarize or paraphrase the author's ideas, you can avoid plagiarism and achieve a stronger voice and consistency in your writing. Using your own words, you can note down what you find novel or interesting about the text. In a research paper, you may want to note down the paper's aim, methods, findings, and implications. You should also ask critical questions while reading, such as, why am I reading this? Or what is my purpose? What is the author's position? What evidence do they use to support this? What makes this claim convincing or not? And what use can I make of this? This is an example of how reading is turned into writing in response to the question, what are the factors associated with employee productivity? Here, the reader previewed and evaluated these texts as being highly relevant to this topic. They both talk about the role of a work environment that supports employees' health and well-being. These are the notes taken while reading the articles. Notice how these notes have been organized to support the main idea, which is An enabling factor for employee productivity is a work environment that supports employees' physical and mental health. This idea forms part of the assignment plan in this example. Notice that the notes are not full sentences, but just ideas jotted down. Pause the video to take a closer look.
Okay, so I shared this part of the video because it summarized my point about the note-taking system and the importance of note-taking while reading in preparation for your writing. So sharing back my my slide, the last two questions. Okay.
Yes, actually, some participants need the slides and others requested the video.
Yeah, the video, I will share the link with you.
Great.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Because this part, I shared this part because it summarized my point about note-taking system and the importance of note-taking. Here is the link for the
video.
The video.
Great.
Yes, and this is another example. This point is actually, this video is actually based on Melbourne University handout and the information about citation and note-taking system and effective reading and writing. So the last two parts of my presentation, I'm sorry, I know I'm running out of time, but very important, technology and paraphrasing. So what is the role of technology in detecting and avoiding plagiarism? As we mentioned previously, now we are a very good example of detecting and avoiding plagiarism. The regulations of ELI mentioned in our website, also in Blackboard, that how to avoid plagiarism and what percent do we allow to take for our students. 25% for our students, for undergraduate students. And detecting plagiarism, a good example for us. On Blackboard, we have Safe-Assign that detect plagiarism. So this is the role of technology in detecting plagiarism and avoiding plagiarism. There are other ways, other technology, technical ways that we could detect plagiarism. Maybe in other departments, they have other ways to detect plagiarism, incorporating technology in avoiding plagiarism. My question is, can we cite ChatGPT in relation to technology and citation? Talking about plagiarism, we have talked about technology. Can we? Okay, thank you so much. Can we cite ChatGPT? What do you think? What is ChatGPT? Can we cite it? I think everyone now knows ChatGPT. Can we cite it as a source?
Doctor, I think because ChatGPT brings its information from things on the website, you have to ask it what the reference is. That's where you can cite the reference directly.
Yes. What else? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's just, yes, artificial intelligence model. You think it's not accurate? Okay, a point. What else? Thank you so much. Yes, Muhammad. So who else? No. Yes, it is a research engine, right? Yes. It's not authentic. Different people, their fake reference. Okay.
Just to add to what I explained in the chat, if that's okay.
Yes.
So I mentioned how it's a generator and not an actual author or person or journal that you can cite, because it wasn't written. It's just gathering information from what's already been published.
Right. Actually, I attended a workshop yesterday about ChatGPT in Center of Learning and Teaching Development at King Abdulaziz University. They have mentioned very nice points that they are working on um, making this ChatGPT uh, um, as trustworthy um, source, but still we don't know the regulation of our departments. Different departments should have different regulations. Is still in a process of searching about whether we cite ChatGPT or not, or information about ChatGPT or not. Still people are thinking, researchers, scholars are still searching about the credibility of the information of ChatGPT. But yesterday, the presenter, I cannot remember the name of the professor who presented
Dr.
this.
Muhammad, Dr. Muhammad
Yes, Dr.
al-Maqsoud.
Muhammad. Thank you so much, Dr. Kamal. Yes, Dr. Muhammad. He has mentioned that ChatGPT 4 Plus could help giving, let's say, uh, accurate information in a way, right? So ChatGPT 4 Plus would be better than ChatGPT, the basic search engine. So this is what this actually motivating young writers, novice writers, to consult ChatGPT 4 Plus. But personally, I think that for preliminary reading purpose, we could consult ChatGPT, but not for research papers. Okay, so not for research papers. It's still, because it is still under experiment, and still they are working on that. This is my personal perspective about using ChatGPT. Doing so, having these ideas, I'm coming to the end of my presentation, and these are the reference I consulted, different books and websites, and I will just um, share the link with you for the video, and then you feel free to watch this.
Doctor, can I ask
So
a
much.
question, please?
Just this at the end of my presentation.
Doctor, is it okay to ask a question?
Yeah. Thank you so much.
I wanted to ask, when we're paraphrasing,
Mm.
uh, sometimes we're paraphrasing and summarizing.
Mm.
Is it always important to put the reference of what you're doing, even though it's not the same?
Yeah.
Do you have to do that every single time?
Yeah, it depends. Well, um, let me take it this way. If I'm asking my student in my class, like B level or A level students, who are conducting writing a paragraph or writing very short essay, should I ask them to paraphrase on site? Because sometimes I give them the source. I ask them to consult this specific source. Go and read about this in um, Longman uh, book, for example. Should I ask them to cite? In this case, no. If you are writing an extended essay, for example, if you are writing a term paper, for example, which is the requirement of end of the course, then you, wherever you paraphrase, wherever you summarize, you need to cite. Otherwise, it's just considered as plagiarized.
I see. So this includes writing a research paper as well, right?
Yeah.
I see.
Articles, magazines, books, and so forth. Thank you so
I see.
much, Mohammed, for
Thank
your
you, Doctor.
question. Thank you.
Actually, I have a question if I have time to ask.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you, Dr. Zainab, for this informative, this helpful lecture. Actually, I'm doing research in computer science department. My research interest is about AI and text. Actually, I have a few questions about evaluation. Based on what we can evaluate the writing, it is paraphrased very well or not?
Paraphrase. Sorry, your question again.
Based on what we can evaluate the paraphrase, it is in good quality or not?
So, first of all, thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Rashad. Thank you all. First of all, when you start consulting a source, start reading about the source, you have to evaluate the source itself, whether it is this source is relevant to your um, let's say title, relevant to your writing or not. Then if it is relevant, which part would you like to take? Which part would you like to add? What do? Do you want to just describe information? Do you want to use evidence for your argument? Do you want to include some diagrams? It depends on the type of the information you are adding to your paper. So
Okay.
yes.
I have another question. So, is there any metric used to help you evaluate paraphrasing?
Yes, paraphrasing, the only way is to evaluate the paraphrase, whether it is good or bad, is to cite. You just consult the source and you follow different techniques, whether you are changing word structure or sentence structure, word synonyms, whatever, you cite. If you do not cite, if it is a research paper and you do not cite, it won't be considered as a good paraphrase.
So I have another question.
Go ahead.
What is the marking criteria you use to evaluate paraphrase?
Are you
so
referring
based on
to?
what?
Are you
Based on
referring
what I
to
can see
the?
this paraphrasing is good or not? What is the criteria I should follow to evaluate paraphrasing?
I think she means, doctor, with the slide that you put up in terms of using synonymous and all of this and that. Do you mean higher in terms of grammar?
Not any grammar.
You don't need...
I mean, okay, in paraphrase, sometimes we can rewrite the sentence just by substitute a single word or two words. And sometimes
this
we restructure the sentence again. So it doesn't make sense to give the score for the student who substitute only single word with the score for a student who restructure the sentence and substitute some words.
Yeah, thank you so much. Now I get your point.
How we can evaluate their writing?
It depends. Now, if I give you a task, if you are a student in my class, and we are having an activity about only paraphrasing, and I give you a task of paraphrasing, you can use different techniques to paraphrase. Okay? This is number one. You can include all the techniques in paraphrasing. It depends on the length of the activity. It depends on the sentence. I ask you to paraphrase. You can use different techniques. If this activity is part of writing a research paper, then the only way to say whether this paraphrase is valid or not, that to include the citation.
Doctor, if I may follow up. Oh, sorry.
The paraphrase won't work. Without the citation, won't work. You use in-text citation, and then you include the reference in your bibliography. I hope I answered your question.
Doctor, can you go to the slide where you asked, where it lays out the techniques to use for paraphrasing? I just want to screenshot that real quick. Because using that, if you use all of the techniques, you can, if you use all the techniques in this, you could be safe to say that you paraphrased correctly.
Yeah, it It depends on the task. I'm telling you. Again, if it depends on the task. If I give a task of paraphrasing in a class only for the purpose of paraphrasing, it is different than giving a task or you intend to paraphrase the required information relevant to your writing.
Yes, yes, of
It is
course.
different. It is different. Okay? If I give
Okay.
the task for a specific purpose, I have to decide as a teacher, I have to decide the task I'm giving to this specific student.
Okay.
Or if you are
So,
including it in your research, you can apply all these techniques. Change structure, use synonyms, reverse order, change nouns, and so forth. You can apply all. But look at cite here. Because we are talking about source incorporation. Cite is very, very important. Source incorporation and avoiding plagiarism, which is the aim of our workshop today.
so there is no any automatic software used to evaluate the quality of
Yes, you
paraphrasing.
can.
This
You
is
can use software for paraphrasing. But again, whether you use software, whether you paraphrase yourself, you have to cite. This is the only way I can say this citation is valid and effective.
okay. Thank you for this information.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Haya, I think there's a paraphrasing software called
Yes, Quillbot.
Kilt, like what
Quillbot.
is
Quillbot.
yes, Quillbot, that's the
Yes,
one.
yeah, Quillbot.
Yeah, with a
Actually, I'm
Q.
doing my research in how we can develop AI
But this
models
is
to
not
do
enough.
something about paraphrasing. But
But this
honestly,
is
I
ah
found a lot of things in English, but I never find something in Arabic. So this is why I ask
ah
how we can evaluate, even if I develop my own software. So how I can
yeah
evaluate if it is paraphrased in
yeah. If it is
difficulty
in
or not.
Arabic, if it is in
Do you
Arabic, then
understand
this
my
is
point?
something else. This is something else. Do they ask you to translate and write it in English or only writing it in Arabic?
Actually, all my research, I'm doing PhD, all my research is about Arabic language since a bachelor degree.
Ah
So
ah
I care about how we can make the machine understand Arabic text in better way. But my point is
like
was if I have a
hmm.
lot of software and website to create paraphrase in English, why we don't have
Okay.
something in Arabic?
It's just
Even if I
it's just
develop this website or
yeah.
this software, how I can guarantee the paraphrase quality is good? So this is my point, is how
You
to
only
measure
need
the quality.
yeah, you only need in this way, you only need to cite. No other way. If you even if you translate, even if you translate, translation included in you incorporate this translation in your writing, you have to cite. You have to cite. No way. No way. You have to cite. And in this sense, you can consult your professor. You can ask. They will guide you. They will help you. I'm quite sure if you are your supervisor is giving you this task in Arabic, then they will understand better how to do this activity or this
Dr.
task.
Honestly,
Zainab, I would just
I
like to ask
found
about the
some metrics
ChatGPT,
about
going back
paraphrase
to
evaluation, but it used only in
Ah,
research papers, and I never found any software. It just as a
so
programming base.
even if you find any kind of I mean programs for paraphrasing, the safest way, the only way that you validate the paraphrasing is citation. Is citation. But anyway, talk to your supervisor. I'm sure they will
Dr.
understand
Zainab, I
better
have a
than.
question about ChatGPT.
Hmm? Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Zainab.
So
Thank you,
going
Thank you
Mr.
back
so
to
Abdullah.
much.
key points,
Thank you so much.
Okay.
I'm
Thank you,
currently
Dr.
writing
Zainab,
my
for the.
I'm currently
Yeah.
writing my thesis for the capstone project, and actually we had a discussion in class about using ChatGPT, and some
Mm.
people were using it to actually do the write-up for them. However, I don't think that's what was encouraged by the professor, I tried to use ChatGPT for summarizing purposes, but at the same time, I don't think I exactly knew how to use it to my advantage, because I think it would cut down a lot of time. But if you have any suggestions for how I can use it to speed up the process in an ethical manner, because we were given the green light by the professor. So I think if you do have tips, just let me know.
Yeah, I got you. I got the point. You know, it's only advice that if you are using ChatGPT, my advice is just use it for preliminary reading, not for citing it or making it as a reference, because it's an experiment and they are still finding a way to make it reference and that you can consult it. And I think in this way you just again go back to the regulations of your department, you go back to the supervisors, they will guide you better. But my advice, look at any other sources right now because it is an experiment. Then later the professor yesterday advised ChatGPT 4 plus, but it's still they are still working on that. So because university regulations, university rules will guide you whether this to validate the source or the information from ChatGPT. Go and ask your supervisor. My
Yeah,
advice:
I understand that, but I did speak to my
read it.
professor
Read
about
it.
this,
No,
and
if you just want to read about a topic for just reading purpose, not for citation purpose, go and consult ChatGPT.
yeah,
Okay,
okay,
you understand my point? Yeah,
yeah,
this is what I mean. I would do this if I'm doing this reading. I would consult ChatGPT, but including information in my, for example, presentation, no. Right
no,
now, unless I'm talking about ChatGPT itself, so I will include it in my presentation. Otherwise, just wait till it gets validated. It's
yeah,
just an
that's the
advice.
thing. The
Consult
point
your
my professor was
consult your
making, she was
supervisor.
saying like,
They will
it's not
they will
like
give you.
addressed. Yeah, she was telling me that it wasn't addressed formally by the university yet. Like there are no
Oh,
guidelines on how to use it.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
just suggestions that are like word of mouth. It's not like
Okay.
official.
In
Yeah.
this way, ask your supervisor whether ChatGPT 4 plus is trustworthy, using the guide, the way that the professor yesterday advised the students. Ask your supervisor, if it is trustworthy, then consult ChatGPT 4. And then also we have Dr. Noor Al Malki. She has a great presentations and information about ChatGPT. You can also consult Dr. Noor Al Malki for this purpose. She will give you better advice than myself.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you very much, Dr.
thank
Zainab.
you so much.
And thank you,
No,
Hala,
all
thank
the
you,
best,
Isra,
man.
thank you, Abdullah, and everybody. I posted Dr. Zainab's email if you want to pursue, to continue contacting Dr. Zainab, Haya, Isra, and Brother Abdullah, and others. You can continue. Actually, we are supposed to stop at 8 o'clock. Now we are
Yes,
about 34
30
minutes
minutes.
extra,
I'm
yeah,
so sorry, Dr.
which is
Omar,
good.
for that.
No, no, very useful, very useful, very useful. But you know, this Jewish,
Yeah, I
very,
know.
very
I know.
excellent. Thank you for the very informative, very interactive, very useful workshop as usual. And thank you
Thank you
all
so
the
much.
participants for enriching the workshop even. Inshallah, we'll see you next week with tips for publishing research papers
I can't thank you
والله
enough.
دكتور إبراهيم جرب إن شاء الله. Thanks a lot.
I
We
can't
have to
thank
thank
you.
you actually.
I
Thanks
can't.
a lot. May Allah bless you.
السلام عليكم.
السلام
السلام
عليكم.
عليكم.
Goodbye and see you. Thanks a lot,
Goodbye.
everybody.